What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king, welcoming you back to more Let's Play Destiny. In the last episode, we finished up the mission, The Dark Within, and we had a little bit of a chat with the speaker. Now, I want to talk about that cutscene for a minute, because that was another big criticism of Destiny when it launched. In fact, that was the cutscene that was made, well, actually, sorry, one of the two cutscenes that was very heavily criticized when this game came out. Because it kind of summed up the game's story. I could tell you about everything. I could tell you, but I won't. Again, that was a big problem with Destiny, and it kind of was summed up in that cutscene pretty darn vividly, and a lot of people had a big beef with it, and it's understandable. Now, why am I in the tower talking about this? Because I want to show you one new thing. This is actually very integral to Destiny, at least when you're leveling up right at the beginning. And, well, honestly, probably a good thing to be getting regardless of what your level is. And these are bounties. Now, bounties are, well, little objectives that refresh every single day that you can use to gain experience, to gain reputation, which is something that is used for, well, leveling up towards a certain faction and getting some of their weapons and armor and whatnot. So I am going to be collecting a couple of these, not all of them, ones that are actually relevant to how I'm going to be playing. Like Vex Major's Ultras, I mean, I guess I could collect it. We have enough space taken. I think I'm going to wait on that one a while, and that one as well, so we'll just leave those for now. But if I can complete those bounties, I turn them in, and I basically get free experience for it, which is very useful for leveling up yourself as well as weapons and armor. So now I have to talk to a couple more people, but I am just going to leave, and we're going to be jumping back into the next mission, which is going to be the last array, which is, well, basically almost the end of the Nothing But the Fall, aka the very first act of Destiny's story structure. So I will meet you guys at the next mission.
There's reports a team of Guardians went dark near the old Skywatch. They were running a mission for Dead Orbit, had codes to a hidden array that could reconnect us to the other colonies in the system. If we can find their ghosts, maybe we can open that array. The ghosts were
so, this is kind of an important mission, actually, the last array. A deceptively important mission. So, in this mission, we are going to be heading up there. That is the Skywatch, okay? And that is basically just a big satellite dish which connects with all the other colonies in the system, like they said. This basically opens up the solar system for us, because there are a lot of locations that humanity has made its mark. Not just Earth. The Golden Age was a lot more than that. There are a lot of planets that are left for us to explore in this game, and we are going to be doing that in time. In fact, right after this mission is over, we should be that should be available to us, but we do have one more score to settle before we leave Earth. But yes, so that is the purpose of this mission. I mean, very simple, but very important nonetheless.
The Vanguard say they're spilling onto the surface now, keeping the Fallen busy.
So, I want to talk about the fusion rifle real quick, because I haven't been able to get into this. This being a very unique weapon to Destiny. Fusion rifles, as you can see, they charge up and then fire. They fire a burst. Kind of in a cone, they basically fire like 7 bursts of light. That, well, do elemental damage and basically vaporize whatever they hit with whatever element is used. So, for instance, if I'm going to use this on an Acolyte, you can see they just vaporize into fire. I really like fusion rifles because they can actually be used at pretty decent ranges, that is obviously way beyond a shotgun's range, what I just did there. But obviously they can't cover the distance that a sniper rifle can. But not a lot of scenarios in Destiny really call for that kind of distance. Granted, that's a different story entirely in the Crucible environment, but in the PvE environment, in the story environment, mid-range is basically where it's at most of the time, and fusion rifles are actually pretty darn powerful. Not to mention, they are our first run-in with elemental damage thus far in the game. Elemental damage is important because there are enemies that have elemental shields. For instance, the Captain. The Captain has an arc shield around it. Now, you can break through that with any type of damage, but arc damage is going to burn through it a lot faster. Unfortunately, we have solar damage on this thing, which actually would be useful for something like the wizard that we killed in our last mission, as they do have solar shields. So, oh, I just got a pulse rifle, which is probably stronger than this hand cannon. Indeed it is. I'm going to get rid of you. Thank you. Alright. I really need to put the Kvostov away for now. But, now we have a pulse rifle again, which honestly feels a little bit better. These early hand cannons are not that great.
The ghosts are still here. The Fallen have them.
Oh, dear. Okay, so we gotta kill some vandals here. Now, unfortunately, it seems like I come here at a pretty bad time, from what I can tell. Oh, actually, maybe not. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm not in such a bad spot. There are taken here, but we'll talk about them later. I don't really talk about them too much. Just know that they do exist and they can happen, and they are not too kind. And oh dear, please do not. Okay, quick! I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I feel like we're about to die.
Let's find the array.
Okay, good. I got out of there. So yeah, every single vandal drops a dead ghost, and we need one that has the codes. Now, I am a little bit under-leveled for this area, or at least for what's spawning in this area at the moment, such as the Taken. So I'm going to try to get out of there as fast as possible before I die. Yes, we need to head this way. Alright. Then we can get into the mission proper, and we can actually start meeting some stronger enemies. Well, actually, we've met basically all of the fallen enemies, but we are going to be running into some other things out here as well. No, you don't. So, oh, I got some heavy ammo, so I can actually show off my rocket launcher. Well, it's honestly not very complicated. It's just a rocket launcher. So what do you think it's going to do? Well, you tell me. Come on down, guys. Blow it up. Of course. That's what a rocket launcher does. So, yeah, not really too impressive, but I mean, it does a ton of damage, and that's all that really matters. It's all you need out of a rocket launcher, right? And then the only other heavy weapon type in this game, well, aside from one very specific weapon, is the machine gun. And, well, the machine gun is, well, it's a machine gun. It's basically just a big handheld, it's a big old handheld machine gun. It's like a straight machine gun, not an SMG of any kind. No, it's a heavy-hitting, you know, frickin' high-caliber machine gun that just tears through things. And those are your only heavy weapon types in this game, which is why they give the least ammo, but they pack the most punch. So now we gotta fight our way through here, because there's a lot of enemies out here at the moment. I've got a little bit more rocket launcher ammo, which is not elemental, which makes no sense to me, actually. How can a rocket launcher not have elemental damage? I mean, that would be fire right there. Would that not be? I guess not. Alright, let's take care of all these shanks with one shot if I can. Oh wow, that was a very slow travel time. That did not work too well. Alright, be gone with all of you. And let's keep moving. There isn't actually a whole lot of lore I can really talk about at the moment. I mean, I guess one interesting tidbit I can bring up is that the area that we're doing all of this in, the Cosmodrome, isn't very far away from the city, actually, because it's not, I don't think it's ever been explicitly stated where the city's location is at, geographically, but it is either in Russia or right next to the border of Russia, and then the Cosmodrome is actually in Russia proper. So, yeah, we're actually not really all that far away from the city, which is why you can see remnants of the wall all throughout the Cosmodrome. So, let's play our ghost. Sorry, buddy, that was probably a sucky way to go. However you went.
It's working. Outside the array, it's opening.
Let's have a look. Holy crap.
Amazing, it's activated.
Oh, that is not good. Oh dear. So yes, the Hive may be the scummy underground dwellers that you think they are, but they are still aliens, and they still have their own brand of UFOs and ships. Calling them UFOs might be a little bit demeaning, but yes. So now we gotta fight off the Hive. Don't worry, no more Fallen involved, just Hive. But we're gonna be running into stronger types of Hive now. We do have our wizard over here, which is a quite the nuisance because of its shield and the fact that it moves around a ton. Wizards are, well, they're interesting. So the Hive also has its own hierarchy, and I want to get into that later. But the Wizards are kind of nondescript of the hierarchy. They are, I mean, I don't want to say the only females. Wizards can only be female. But they kind of have their own jobs separate to the hierarchy of the rest of the Hive. They are, well, essentially, the Hive kind of revolve around a big old sick and twisted religion. And they are essentially the priests of that religion. That is what they do. And it'll all make sense as we explain them more. I can't talk about them too much. That enemy we just killed a minute ago is a knight, and that is basically just an acolyte on steroids. Like, there's really not a whole lot more to say about that. They are much stronger forms of acolytes, much more well-trained, much more powerful, much harder to kill. I mean, aside from the fact that they have the biggest head hitbox in the entire Destiny universe. That is probably the one forgiving thing about them. Got everything. Just keep this area clear. I've almost got a Nova Bomb. Clearing ads. There we go. The pulse rifle feels really, really good right now, actually. Granted, I think this weapon is a little bit overpowered. Oh, we got a Hallowed Knight. Okay, so you see that how the health bar is yellow on this thing? That means it is what is called a major. There are major and ultra variants of enemies. Now, ultras are essentially bosses. Majors are just much more powerful versions. As you can see, I'm doing a lot less damage with a headshot to him than I was to my other enemies. So, I'm going to want to use something much more powerful to be able to take him out. And I got an encrypted engram. Ooh. Now that is interesting. Encrypted engrams, well, they drop rare weapons, which are in a whole tier above the green, which is something we're already not getting a whole lot of at the moment. Weapons are separate, and armor are separated into 5 tiers. There is common, which is white. There is uncommon, which is green. There is rare, which is blue. There is legendary, which is purple. And then there is exotic, which is that one. That is the gold. There's also one over here as well. And we'll get into exotics at a much later point. But we'll talk about them more as we get stronger and whatnot.
This array is controlled by the last Warmind, Rasputin. It's connecting to defense constructs all across the system. There could be something out there to help us survive the darkness.
And there we have Mars, the Moon, and Venus. And those are all the places we are going to be going to in future episodes. And yes, as you heard, Rasputin has kind of infiltrated into basically all of Earth's defenses. I mean, he was created to protect Earth, but again, he is adaptable. Self-adaptable, nonetheless. And, yeah, it runs a little bit deeper than that. Oh, I got a machine gun. Cool. Oh, the super high rate of fire kind. Interesting. Well, in the next episode, guys, we are going to be running our very first strike in Destiny, which is a completely unique mission type to the story missions we have done thus far. So, thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.